welcome to my infinitiesinsights.co channel. This is the first time being here, so a very warm welcome. Today what we're going to do is to pick a card and to see what's going on for you for June, July this year. You may want to use your intuition by picking the card, and that's perfectly okay using that 4-second rule, just the first number that pops into your mind between 1 and 4, or if you like to meditate a little more, be a bit more reflective, that's perfectly okay too. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back to Infinity's Insights, and hello to those who chose pile number 1. So I've got it in my hand and I'm just actually going to now do a spread for you and just see what's going on for you for June and July. Let's have a little look here. Okay, pile number 1, people, it feels like there has been a little bit of an emotional roller coaster ride, and it feels like you're just starting to come out of that. It's a little bit like sometimes like the dark night of the soul, where we feel like we've had some challenges and it's been a period of time. It hasn't just sort of been a recent thing, it's been a period of time of maybe going through a lot of either disappointments or frustrations. There could have even been grief here. It says where you've had to really dig very deeply into your soul and just to see what the meaning of life is for you and what it means and how to progressively move forward without sort of feeling like the past is actually going to catch up with you again, or sort of, what would you say, sort of move you in a direction of where you don't want to go, where you're feeling like you're going backwards all the time and not forward. Sometimes it's like if we allow the past to rule us, then what we do is that we live in the past and we don't sort of live in the now. And it just feels like it's been a bit of a challenging time where there has been quite a few things over the few years, probably 2 to 3 years, I'd say, where there has been that sort of challenge. And it feels like on a deep level you're wanting so much more out of your life, but you feel like you can't move forward, or that something is stopping you. So we'll see what the block is, or just to see what, if there is a block, and how best to support and help you work through that today. It feels like you are trying to let the past go, you're trying to move forward. You've either been working on yourself, you're trying your darndest to be able to not let things get the better of you, and sometimes you felt like you've had little victories here, which is really great, but then it feels like you might have like little victories and then there might be a few steps that you go backwards. So that is the past. So what is happening now for you is that group number 1 do have intuition, but sometimes it feels like when there's been challenges in that, it kind of feels like everything goes by the wayside, like you feel like it's abandoned you or left you. So the intuition is going to kick back in, and it's going to come in quite strongly here, which is a really great attribute to have. It feels like you've always had it. It just feels like when we go through a challenging time, sometimes we disconnect without meaning to, and now it's actually feeling like you're reconnected and you're trying to put your best foot forward. You're leaving the past behind. You're not allowing anything to sort of dictate where or what you should be. It's like I feel like you're sort of getting a sense of purpose back, and it feels like you're wanting to definitely leave the past behind, but also gain the wisdom of what you've needed to, so that we don't repeat the pattern or the cycle here as well. So for some of those, it might have been just disappointments. It could have been a relationship breakup or a friendship. It could have just felt like you were feeling a little bit disillusioned with things in your life, or the fact that the path wasn't as clear as what you wanted it to be. It could even mean that there was a source of some grief here as well. So it just feels like what you're doing now is that you're putting your best foot forward. You are moving forward, and it feels like there's the lessons that you've gained, or the wisdom that you've gained, and that you are moving forward to a situation of where emotionally you're going into a better place. It feels like you feel like, I've got this, I can handle this. It doesn't matter if I have a couple of speed humps along the way. I've worked through it in the past and I can work through it again. And it feels like there's a direction change here for you. And the direction is something to do with the work arena, and that there's opportunities for growth and development, and even putting yourself out there a little bit, being seen more, or being heard more, or just simply getting the recognition that you feel finally that you may deserve for the work. Now, that's not saying that it's all going to be smooth sailing, but it just feels like for the most part, it feels quite good. But if there is a few hurdles here to overcome, you've got a different mind frame now where you're not sort of feeling like you're stuck in the past and that things won't work because one little thing didn't work for you. Now it feels like you're over the past. You've worked through the past, and that it feels like it's equipped you more now to know how to manage situations more effectively, where I feel like you can progressively move forward in a way of where you feel like you're starting to see some tangible results as well. Now, the big thing with group number 1 people is that there's something to do with you needing to really stay focused, a little bit like a racehorse, how they have the blinkers on and they have the goal in mind, or a guide dog, where when they have the harness on and they're told a direction of where to go and they just know they have to go there without any interruption. So it feels here that you're sort of like saying to everyone else, if you've got the dramas, if you've got some situations here where you need advice, I'm happy to be here, but don't take advantage, sort of thing, of me giving you that support and help while I've got this very important thing for my life to do as well, because it feels like in the past you've actually helped a lot of people, and that's a lovely, again, attribute to have. But sometimes you might be a little shy of putting your hand up, perhaps for requiring a bit of that support or needing that little bit of support here too. So it feels like you're moving into a different phase in your life, which is kind of exciting. It feels like you're going to have to hold on. If you're wearing a hat, hold on to the hat, because it feels like it's going to happen very quickly. There's a kind of like a fast pace with this. And it feels like for so long in the past, because you had been in a certain space, it felt like that was your habitual pattern and program. So it felt like sort of not even daring to sort of think about things changing for you or working out. But this starts to feel here for June, July, that you're starting to actually see some tangible results. And as I said, for some of those, it means putting yourself out there a little bit more, whether it's social media or whether it's getting the recognition that you deserve with your work here as well. It feels quite good. Let's have a look. Yep. So it feels like there's a lot to do with your work in this one for group number 1, that they're trying to sort of set something up where they feel like they're feeling good about it. There's something to do with journeys here. So whether or not it's journeying in a shamanic way, where it might be meditation journeys, where you're going on a journey with that, or if it means literally going on a journey where there may be some sort of travel involved here, depending. I know that this is a general reading, so for some it may not be possible if there's been restrictions with the pandemic, but it just feels here like there is something about moving forward and journeying on some levels. And as I said, journeying can be either in the literal sense where you are journeying to some sort of destination or some sort of place, or it could actually mean that you're journeying, inner journeying, which is sort of like a shamanic way of going within. So for those who are intuitive might sort of take up a little bit more meditation or something and journey that way as well. But it's sort of almost like dreaming a different life here, not just wanting it, but sort of trying to manifest or trying to create the better life here too. So there's going to be a couple of choices where your work is concerned here, and it feels like some of the people, there may be some people here that may want to work or liaison with you or connect with you, and I think there's a decision there, and I think you've got to do what the best decision is for you rather than what you feel other people expect you to do, because I feel like it's your time to shine a little more, group number 1, and if that's the case, it just feels like you've got to put your best foot forward and do the right thing for you to be able to to be noticed and to be seen and to be heard, because I think in the past you've given a lot of support for other people. So it's your time now to shine. Now, there's something about the way that group number 1 communicate and talk that I really love here. And it just feels like the communication and how you do, how you communicate, whether it's with an assignment or with a group of people, it feels like it's actually going to be quite positive, and it feels like you're equipped with the right skill set to be able to do the projects or to have a private project on the side, or if it's a work situation or a study program or something along that line. It feels like you've got it all there. It feels like you've had a lot of time to reflect, and I think that you've had a lot of time out. There's been a little bit of isolation around you at some point in the recent past 3 years, and I feel like it's good for you now to get out more, to be seen more, to be heard more, and to connect more with people, because people and connecting to fun is always a good thing. It kind of connects in a nice way. It just feels like you're looking at some of you, and again, this is a general reading, so it's like if you're starting to thinking of setting up a business, it just says here, or expanding a business, really do the research and do the background work so that, or you have all your bases covered, and whether you need to go and get the professional advice on that to make sure you've got those bases covered, then you really can't go wrong. Okay, so this says group number one, that there may have been those disappointments, as I said before, in the past, and it felt like you were needing to have an understanding of how to manage disappointment, and maybe a little bit of frustration, and it feels like you're now trying to create more balance into your life. So that could be creating a little bit more joy, or having a little bit more joy, having the gratitude for the simple things in life. You know, having gratitude when we're frustrated it's a good thing anyway, but it just feels like here that you're looking at not letting the past keep repeating itself by it dictating to you every time you've had a disappointment. So that might be sort of one of your big things, might be learning to let go and just going with the flow, if you like to sort of be in charge a bit, and then if it doesn't work out, getting frustrated. So this might be going with the flow a little bit more for you for pile number one, and sort of enjoying it, taking it day by day, living in the present moment a little bit more as well. There's definitely a sense and a feeling here of wanting more depth and meaning with what has transpired for you in your life over the last few years, that you're now looking at more depth and meaning, and really wanting to make some sort of difference with what you want to do as well, which feels really good. Yep. Pile number one have a great way of communicating as well. When they're connected. When they're disconnected, they might shut down a little bit. So it's important to stay connected, and that's, you know, with your friends. If you can't see your friends again because of the circumstances with maybe the pandemic, if you've got, you know, a phone, you can do video chat, that sort of thing, and stay connected that way. Get a little creative with it as well. Some of pile number one, hearing from Spirit, something to do with a vision board would help you, and writing your goals down as well. So that's what I have for you for now, group number one. So all the best, and I shall chat again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye for now. Welcome pile number two, and I'm just going to be doing your cards now and just putting them out. Something, a little bit of a feeling here, or a sense I'm getting of pile number two are a little bit more of a, not a hermit, but maybe a little bit more introverted at times, or it's been a time of where maybe you haven't wanted to sort of be loud and out there and being noticed. You're sort of feeling like a little bit more like it's a reflection period for you, and it feels like sometimes you may need these times so that it can actually help you gain enough insight for you to know your next steps, or know your next directions. It actually helps you focus by having those reflection times, or those times of where you may need time out for yourself. And but I'm not saying that you need it all the time. I think that there's still people around you, but just occasionally you might just take a step back, it says here, and just to reflect. It just helps you focus, stay focused with your goals a lot here, which is actually quite good as well. I think that pile number two people have, they could potentially here, I think they've got great focus. I think that there's been some minor frustrations around you, but it feels like you've also got incredible focus and direction and where you want to go. And it feels like you're actually moving forward in the right direction. It feels like you've got this driving force. Maybe it's a lot of faith, or strong faith, but it feels like you know when you want to do something, sort of you've got the goal, and then you know how to achieve it, kind of thing, which is really good. It feels like there's lots of people coming in around you after this period of time of reflection. So I actually think the reflection period and that time of where you've wanted to take some time out, or you've had that time out, I think is in the past now, it feels. And it feels like what's coming forward for you is looking at organizing, it seems like a business of some sort here, and it feels like there'll be another person. So whether that's a partnership or a collaboration here, which feels quite good. There's a creative element to these people, and definitely a side of where there's a lot of depth and meaning. I think that there's a lot of people sometimes, I think if we put all your friends for pile number two in a room together, I think they'd be so versatile that I don't know if they have a lot in common, but the one thing they would have would be you. as well. You'll have to excuse my pussycat if he's walking around in the background here. So it just feels here that what you're doing here is that there's a lot of focus. I think you've had the plans on hold, which has made you sort of reflect, and I think that's actually going to start to happen now. There is something to do with travel and work here for you, which is feeling really good as well. And it just feels, let's have a look. With pile number 2, I think that you might get a little bit bored sometimes. So it's just like, so long as you have your focus and your goals in place, then I feel like it really keeps you on track with where you want to go and with the directions that you want to go. Going to say, I feel like pile number 2 people feels like they might meditate, or that meditation actually helps them with their direction and with their focus as well. It also feels like you've had a couple of plans, I think, being put on hold in the past, but it feels like you're actually now moving forward. There's a lot of drive and ambition with these people, and I actually also feel a little bit of creativity, but with some technical ability here as well. It feels like it is their time to expand, which feels really exciting. And it feels like on the level here that there's going to be sort of new people coming into your life, which I feel is going to inspire you, and you'll inspire others as well, which feels quite good as well. If anything, it feels like before, if you had not the lack of projects, it might have been just that things were put on hold, but it feels like your projects are going forward now, and you've got to sort of make choices of where to put your energies in, which is going to actually get you the best results as well too, which feels really good. It feels like there are times of when you're in that reflection period, it's like you're lucky or blessed enough that you can afford to have that time where you can take that time out and then work with an exciting project. It feels like pile number 2 people have projects that they work on a lot of as well, which feels really good. It feels like they're securing something for their future financially as well, which feels good. And it feels like they're looking at, when I say expanding or new beginnings, which feels in a sense that exciting, because it feels like it's actually not working on their own. If they've done that in the past, it feels like there's more of a collaboration now as well. I feel that the world is sort of like, it's almost saying that the world can be your oyster if you choose it to be so. And that feels like if you've got the right attitude, if you've got the right, it feels like if you've done all the work, you've done all the groundwork, it feels like it's going to start to pay off for you now as well. I'm going to say there could be also earning passive incomes with pile number 2 and setting up security in a different way. But there's also a lot of fun here as well. And it feels like they're wanting more fun in their life. It's like, it feels like it has been a little bit serious, but they're wanting more fun, but maybe because they are so focused, and they're, you know, pile number 2 are the people that everyone relies on for advice and that, and so they pride themselves on it. And it just feels like they're sort of goal orientated, they're grounded, they you know, they always come across as being stable and everything. And it just feels like now it's like you're trying to get your work projects on the ground. And I think pile number 2 have good boundaries. So it feels like everything that you've learned over the last few years, it feels like your goals and ambitions and that are starting to come into fruition, which feels really, really good here as well. So with a lot of these projects, there are going to be some that feels kind of really good, and there's some others that you're not really sure on. So it's really important for pile number 2 to really understand what's going to work best for them, and not sort of do it because they're doing a friend for a favor, a favor for a friend, but they're just wanting to sort of do it because they know it's the right project for them. They sometimes, it's not that they lack intuition, because I believe everyone has intuition to some degree, but it feels like they don't listen to it sometimes, or they're just very much in their head and they're very logical. But it feels like, or they feel like they haven't got the time to listen to the intuition, but they're starting to open up to it more now, which is really good. And it feels like on some level that it's actually going to help guide them into what they want to do for the next, say, 2 months or so. So it feels like there's going to be opportunities for growth and development. It feels like pile number 2 people have had to take some time out, and now they're sort of getting back in the saddle, ready to go into exciting new times with direction. These people are not afraid of taking a calculated chance. I think they've already starting to take the calculated chance, and it feels like there's opportunities here to further and to work more. It feels like there's going to be support and help here for you, which feels really good. They're not afraid to ask for support. They're not afraid to work with people. They're not afraid to sort of get their hands dirty and have to sort of come up with different ideas or try something new in terms of work or a project or getting something. They're sort of, you know, it's like they kind of thrive on a challenge, which is really good here as well. So it just feels, so for now, it feels like there's opportunities for growth and development. There's going to be several opportunities, I feel, for projects, and that for some of them it is a general reading. So for some of these people here, where I feel like they're going to have to sort of, you know, make their mind up with where they want to place their energy and what they want to put their energy into. Now, some people here might feel like they're getting not what they want with a project or something, and then other people will say, yes, this is the perfect one. So for those who aren't getting, for those, because it is a general reading, for those who aren't getting what they want at the moment, take a step back and just reflect a little more, but still stay around people. Don't sort of isolate yourself, but it just feels like take a step back and maybe look at it from a different perspective here, so that you can get more of an insight into, you know, what you'd like to manifest in your life in terms of projects, goals, or work. It feels here. But it just feels like you've got the opportunities and you're working through it as well. But it kind of feels here with group number 2 that they've got a plan and they're executing the plan, and now they're going to be starting to see some what I call is tangible results here as well. It feels like they've already mastered some of the lessons here about learning to focus, not getting distracted, finding their way. It feels like they've already got some life experience here that's taught them well, and that they don't try to get caught up in things that don't sort of serve their growth or that could distract them in some way. I feel like they've kind of mastered that. They're not sort of ones, I think, for gossip. I think that they're just there for, they're professional, they do the work. So whether it's a creative way of being professional or a professional way where it's mainstream way, it feels like they're there to do a job, and they do it to the best of their ability as well. But it feels exciting because they're going to be working more with people as well. So yeah, it feels like in the past it was a little slow. Things were a little bit slower than what they would have cared for, because I feel like they like to work at a faster pace where it's a bit more dynamic. They thrive on a bit of a challenge, that sort of thing. And it feels like it's now the time has where they are moving forward and they are seeing it. They've got, I'm getting the same cards here a little bit too. So it feels like now I'm feeling like they're going to feel a bit more connected maybe to their intuition, and that might be because they're starting to listen to it more. In the past, it might have been that if they were like working in a very logical way, or they just didn't feel like they had enough time to listen to it, or that they felt like it was not part of what they were doing then, and it would be frowned upon. But it feels like now it's like the more that they stay grounded, and that the more insights that they're going to get in their own life, which is really exciting as well too. It feels like once they kind of have this goal in place, it feels like once their work starts to come into fruition in a way that they're happy for, it gives them a sense of security, I guess I would call it, to be able to allow more things in their life, to be more open, maybe their heart space to be more open, and they start to realise that they've always had intuition, but it just feels like in the past they've had to focus on other areas, or maybe their job or their work situation or schooling required them to be very logical, but it feels like now they're getting kind of more into it. There's also going to be a friend here, I feel like, that is naturally intuitive, that's going to give them some, not guidance, but I feel like we'll mention a couple of things about maybe their experiences, and you'll go, oh yeah, I used to have that, but I would sort of push it away, kind of thing as well. Let's have a look. I think they're more intuitive than what they think. It's just that they may be a little bit logical sometimes, that's all. These people love animals. There's something to do with animals. I mean, it is an animal deck, but it just feels like, I'm going to say, they've chosen one with animals. So they could be an animal lover. They could be also thinking of an animal in the past, but they've also got an animal currently, I would say, around them that they really love and adore. And I think they're happiest and very calm and serene. It might be one of the things that these people use for pile number 2, where they love to be able to feel the freedom of maybe riding a horse or playing with their animal or walking the dog, and that just feels like they love how their animals are sort of in the moment, and it helps them kind of chill out and relax as well, which is fine, which is lovely. Yeah. Pile number 2, I think, are really trying to focus a lot on what they're passionate about, and almost like what their sole purpose is, and what they're trying to ascertain there, and what they're trying to go for there as part of their focus. That's why I think they're so focused, is because I know this is a big thing for them. It's their sole purpose as well. So that feels really nice too. It feels like there's a shedding going on with pile number 2, and that's like they've shedded what they don't need in their life, and now they're actually moving towards more of a new a cycle that they've been trying to build. Shedding can also be like letting go of what hasn't served their growth. As I said, I feel like these people have already mastered a couple of lessons in life where they feel they don't like to get caught up in other people's businesses. Not to say that they're not caring in that, they are caring, but they don't sort of gossip. They don't give it a lot of energy. Like if they're the practical ones that would just find a solution to a problem and then not want to go on about how great they were at fixing it. They would just help you that way. They're practical and logical. And it just feels here that what they're doing now is that they're practical enough to know that they want something in their life that gives them depth and meaning, and something that I'm going to say they want to go a little more creative with what they do, even though some of them are very logical, and it just feels like they've actually got what it takes. It just feels like for some of them they may have had a little bit of a career path change, might be too strong a word, but a direction change in the path of what they're doing. Say, for example, if they're professional, they might want to do their masters, or they might want to do their PhD, and there's that writing and that sort of thing where they're changing it that way. And for other people, it might be that if they're already in a creative field, it might be that they're just sort of expanding that creative field a little bit more, and it kind of feels like they're enjoying it more than what they would normally think they do, and pleasantly surprised as well. Let me just see one more spread for this box. It feels like pile number 2 knows their strengths and they know their weaknesses, and they're aware in that way. It just feels like what they're trying to do now is trying to see they've put the work and the effort in, and now they're seeing the fruits of their labour. And that's kind of exciting, because it feels like it is some sort of like sole purpose that they're doing, which feels really nice. And for some of those I feel like group pile number 2 falls into 2 different categories. One is very creative and the other one would be very practical. So for the practical ones with their sole purpose, it could be something to do with your career, where you're getting the recognition and what you want. And for the other people, it would be something along the lines of, if it's creativity, it's expanding that creativity on some level that you like to do, and maybe doing things that you didn't think you would do. But it's sort of like with last year being the way it was with the pandemic, that it's actually been a good thing, because it's actually helped you grow and expand in a way that you didn't normally think you would. As well. So it just feels like you've done a lot of reflection, and now you're starting to see the results of your goals, and it feels exciting. Pile number 2 feels like the choices that they made, they're feeling a little bit more sort of victorious in what they're doing, because it feels like it's something that they feel like they have been on the right path. They may have just had some delays as well. And it feels like they've got the recognition coming in with what they want to do with their work, which they're feeling really good. It just feels like, to me, more like they're going to be working with more people, particularly for those who have been sort of on their own, or just sort of not working with groups. But now it feels like they're going to be sort of more, even to the point, not if it's not a group, it might be more collaborating as well, and it feels exciting as well. So that's what I have for group number 2. Thank you so much for partaking, and we shall see you again soon. Thank you. Welcome, pile number 3, for those who have chosen this pile. You've chosen some beautiful cards here. They're actually new and they're really lovely. So I'm going to get to it now. It feels like you've had a lot of choices and decisions in the past, and some of the decisions that you've made, you've actually felt like in hindsight, if you had have done it again, if you had your time again, you would choose a different way, because it felt like you were learning your lessons a little bit in the challenging way, or a little bit harder, and you're going, oh, if I had have known then what I know now. And it just feels like this is the past. It feels like, but you're always sort of fairly optimistic and hopeful at the same time as well. I think that pile number 3 people, I think that you are definitely a lot stronger than what you think. You are. It feels like if you've had the challenges and that, it's certainly made you strong, and it's shaped who you are today as a person as well. It just feels like there's a lot of hope here as well. It feels like sometimes it feels like with pile number 3 that there's been maybe a challenge with a friendship here, and it kind of feels like you might be sort of reminiscing a little bit about the past here, and sort of not staying in it, but you're sort of like maybe saying that even though this friendship didn't work out here, it does feel like on the same token there were good times as well. So you're sort of honouring the good times, but also understanding that you're needing to move forward, and you're sort of freeing the other person up as well as yourself, so that you can move forward and do what you need to do that's right for you, but also for them. So it's sort of like there's no malice here, there's no disappointment anymore. That's the past, you've already worked through it. You're actually now looking at just wanting to sort of reminisce about the good times and putting it into perspective, and then sort of shutting the door behind you and honouring the situation and the wisdom of it, and then sort of moving forward. And it feels like by moving forward, there's going to be a lot more structure, I would say, come into your life. I feel like you're going to feel like you're wanting to sort of feel like there's a little bit more control in your life here. And the structure would come into, I'd say this is your goals and your work, and who you are as a person, and wanting to sort of shine in the way that you want to shine, and not sort of feel like in the past with relationships, if you've sort of put in a lot more effort or felt like you've been the support role here, it feels like you're now sort of not having to sort of self-sacrifice to some degree. It feels like you're now actually you've worked through that, and you're looking at building some sort of structure here that's going to be a bit more of a solid foundation. Now that foundation might come internally first, and then you'll see the results externally. So it's like I feel like you're rebuilding you internally. You're rebuilding who you are as a person. You're reconnecting, more importantly, with who you are, and you're rebuilding, maybe it's self-esteem if that's been affected, or self-worth, or just the fact that you're now sort of feeling not responsible for other people that might have been a bit toxic or could have been a little bit taxing, that you're now starting to sort of put your best foot forward in terms of what you feel like is the best thing for you. And it feels like you've got goals and aspirations that perhaps because of the self-sacrificing that you've done in the past, that you're now looking at wanting to put forward here too. And those self-sacrificing might have been something you did, maybe it wasn't on purpose, or that you felt obligated to, or was just the fact that you put everything else on hold for other people, and then realised that that wasn't the right thing to do. It just feels like you've had a massive learning curve, maybe with friendships here, or people in general that might be a little bit taxing, but you sort of also reflected, well, hang on a sec, there's 2 people here, that's what maybe they have done, but why did I tolerate this? Why didn't I say something? Do I need to look at my boundaries here? So there's sort of wisdom on both sides here. So it's not sort of pointing the finger. You're just, as I say, getting the wisdom, and you're wanting to shut the door here. And it's sort of giving you a sense of freedom, and realizing that you now can act accordingly with what you want to do. And that feels really good. And it just feels like you're sort of letting go of what doesn't serve your growth to move forward. There's something about goals, hopes, dreams, aspirations. It feels like there's going to be some inspiration here. It feels like there's going to be work I feel like group number 3 do a different style of work, or it could be maybe bordering on a little bit more unusual, or it's like you're just getting back into work, it feels here. Now, friendships, and that can be if you're married to your best friend maybe, and it didn't work out, and then you're sort of starting out again, that sort of thing can also come up here for pile number 3 people as well. And it just feels like, you're feeling like once in the past I was a lot more optimistic than what happened. And it feels like you're reconnecting with that sense of who you are again, which feels really good. It does feel like you've had to do some minor restructuring in your life, and it feels like the lessons you might have repeated a few times before you got the wisdom of it, but you have got the wisdom of it and you are moving forward from it now. It just feels like I just keep feeling like the star is beautiful. It's like that hope, goals, aspirations. You're going to start to reconnect with what it is that you want. There is a male figure here that I feel like will feature into your life, so our fire sign as well, so that could be Leo, Aries or Sag, and they kind of feel like they're a bit of a breath of fresh air, where it feels like you're looking at in terms of doing something for yourself, and they're saying to you, well, what are you going to do? You know, have you got a plan? What's your goals? And you're going, okay. And it's like they're helping you sort of like motivate you to stepping forward with it as well. It feels like for some of those who might be looking for work, it feels like work's coming in, and it feels like for some they may not want the full-time work. They might be looking for something 3 days a week so that they can do some creative projects or something on the side as well, which is interesting for those that it connects with. It feels like pile number 3 has had to deal with a lot of other people's dramas, and it feels like they're just trying to sort of let that go now as well. It just feels like with pile number 3 too, that they could have had something to do with a parent not being well, or that there was a lot of grief around a parent at a time, and that might have been one of the things why they felt like they kind of just took a step away for a little while, and then you know, have sort of come back into like wanting to live. It might be that they've already had that experience and they're helping a friend or someone else go through it, or just giving them gentle encouragement and guidance as well. I feel like with pile number 3, when these people feel a little bit like if they get disappointed in that, they try not to let things get them down. They try to sort of pick themselves up and dust themselves off, and they try to sort of like move forward. There is that little bit of optimism that I feel like they have here as well, but it feels on the same token that they're also allowed to feel their feelings and not sort of sweep things under the carpet sometimes if they get disappointed, because I think they've been such a good friend. It's like sometimes they also want to be heard as well too. So the friends of pile number 3, just make sure that you do actually, you know, listen to them sometimes, because they listen to you. They're a really good friend as well. Even though this is actually like sorting it out, you are a good friend. You haven't done anything wrong. I think that there's been something to do with one of the friendships here, or a partnership here, that could have actually just run a course. It says here, or it felt like you may not have had the same values as the other person. And it feels like you've felt like you've needed to move forward just for your own growth and development, because maybe it was stunting your growth on some level, and that's no reflection to the other person. It's just the fact of that you needed to move forward so that you can connect to your soul purpose and new goals, and that here as well. It feels like there's times of when you've either had to sort out maybe a lot of other people's problems, and it feels like you're trying to sort of step away from that at the moment, and just, it's not saying that you won't be there for people if they need you, but it just feels like you're not going to be as invested in it, maybe on an emotional level, because it was starting to get a little bit draining or taxing, or just that you're feeling like these people have got to stand on their own 2 feet, and you're there for them if they need you, but you would prefer them to work it out first if they could as well. I'm just going to see what else is here. It feels like for those who want the relationship, the star could mean that you're wanting sort of like, you're feeling like now you're starting to get ready for a new relationship, or that you're letting the past go and you've got new people coming in, and that you're looking at just wanting to feel that connection again as well. It feels like there's a cheekiness to pile number 3, that they've got this great sense of humour that they're reconnecting with as well, which feels really lovely. So I feel like they've had some disappointments maybe around the last 6 weeks or so, and it feels like now that they're getting their life back on track, there's sort of the sun shining down on them again, which is really good. It feels like, yeah, definitely trying to master something here, trying to sort of create some sort of foundation here. And it feels like once they create the foundation, they feel like they're in a stronger position to be able to manifest what they want. It feels like one of the things that they weren't able to control or master was maybe someone like a loved one who might have passed, and that was just no one can actually stop someone passing. It just feels like they could have had that sort of loss, and it's sort of like they've gone through a little bit of that sort of grief, although it just feels like it might be a male energy that they had in their life that did that, and it just feels like they're starting to sort of get the wisdom of death and rebirth sort of thing, like as well. So a great book would be the Tibetan Book of the Dying, something along that line. But there's, you know, always a lot of help out there too if someone is grieving as well. It just feels like pile number 3 want to do a project or do something, and it feels like they're really trying to get their confidence up and their optimism up, but it also feels like they're a little bit scared of maybe it not working out on the same token. So it feels like they just need to let's have a look. To connect with their intuition and to connect with who they are, and to take that time out. That it's important for them to have those sort of timeouts sometimes for themselves, so they can reconnect with who they are. And it doesn't matter sometimes if things are a little bit slower in manifesting for you, but it's not to say you can't move the pace on that, but it might be that it's just taking a little bit more time because you've had other things to deal with as well. But it just feels on the same token that the High Priestess is meaning that it's actually starting to come into fruition. So for some people, it might be the slower, the better results for the long standing, for the long term as well, which feels quite good here as well. Yeah. And in actual fact, if they're starting something for themselves with their work and they've got this goal in mind, and it feels like it's a little slow to begin with, it will pick up and it could be quite successful. But it feels like, you know, like the story of the hare and the tortoise, it's like to do it properly and to do it might be a little slow to start with, but it feels like it will get busier, and there is recognition here with the work as well. So that feels really good as well. It feels like they're going to surprise themselves with what they can accomplish, or surprise themselves with what they can do on some level. And it's like they always had it in them, but they just didn't realise that they had it in them. Sometimes we don't know what we're capable of doing until we try, and it just feels like this is the first time that they're really trying something that they're really passionate about, and it feels like there might be a little bit of concern or worry, as I said before, about something not working. Because they really want this, it's their heart's desire on some level. It feels like it's, but I'm going to say, because it's a general reading, some of them might be a relationship and the other one might be like they're focused on their work as well. But it just feels like if it's a relationship, it might be, I've dated him 5 times and he hasn't, he hasn't held my hand, he's not talked about kissing me, what's going on? And it might be that he's actually just being respectful and trying to court you, so not to panic. If it's for someone, for the other part of general group number 3, it might be more about some sort of recognition with work here. And it feels like through doing what they're passionate about doing, that's where they're going to meet their guy, or that's where they're going to, if their people are already married, then that's where they're going to meet new people for their life. It's like a new exciting chapter as well. That's what I have for group number 3. Thank you so much for joining me. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello, group number 4. Save the best to last. It's a very interesting spread that you've got here. I think in the recent past, it feels like here that you've there's something to do with maybe that there's been a little bit of gossip around, and it's been a little bit frustrating for you, or feeling like you've been out of the loop a little bit. It feels like you're actually also trying to change some sort of direction here with your career, and it feels like it's been a little bit of a journey where it's been a bit of a stop-start. Maybe there's been a little bit of worry. It says here about getting it right, so there might be that little bit of perfectionism, or just sort of feeling a little unsure, and trying to sort of get your confidence back. And it does really feel like here that you will get the confidence back here, because it feels like there's going to be some sort of sense of security here for you where work, it feels like you want the success, like you really want to be successful, and it feels like you've got dreams and aspirations here, which feels like it'll come into play, and it feels like you've actually got what it takes to do that, to be successful. The only little cautionary thing here is just to say that not to get so caught up in the trappings of, say, just the money only, and then forget the rest of your life. So it's like, it's great to be successful, but at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to take it, to heaven with us. It's not going to matter about that. So it's also, you want to still be the best version of yourself and be successful at the same time, because you want it all, and that's okay as well. It just feels here that there's, let's have a look. It feels like in the past there might have been like pressure put on you where your work was concerned, and it's kind of like left you not a little bit jaded, but just a little bit like tired, and that you've had to sort of find another passion. And it feels like the passion's coming in, and it's like a renewed sense of activity here. It feels like you're going to be sort of taking a chance, not a really big massive leap where angels fear to tread, but it feels more like a chance of where you're wanting to take a calculated chance and take a bit of a leap of faith. And it feels like that leap of faith will work out, so long as that you've learnt the lessons from the past. And that's just not getting too caught up in if you've had lessons to learn, and not going over the same thing or the mistakes, or reliving the past on some level here. It just feels like you're more equipped. It feels like you've either done the study, or you're equipped now to move forward. You're equipped with the attributes and everything necessary here, it says, to be able to make something work that you're wanting to in your life. It just feels, group number 4 feels like they really, 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 really want the success. That's one of the big things here. And it feels like, as I said, people can be very successful, but they may not be happy if they're not happy within themselves. So success is great, but you also want to create some balance with that too, as well. So it just feels like, let me just do another spread. It feels like in the past you may have had to do what we might consider like menial jobs that you felt like you deserved to be in a better space, or have a better job given to you, but you took it maybe because you felt like that was the only option at that time. And now that time has passed, because you're actually getting a sense of what you want to do. And it feels like, believe it or not, all those other jobs that maybe what you've done or what you've had to do in the past is going to equip you now to do something, and to help you maybe understand maybe more about the direction of where you want to go. And also how to help with people. So if you've had to deal with difficult people in the past, it's like, and you're going into a direction of where, you're getting your goals and sort of, becoming successful, and that it feels like that's going to help you know how to manage future situations, because you've already lived it. And it just feels like you'll know how to manage it so that it's not going to affect you like it did in the past. But it's like if you had, say, potentially like a boss that wasn't, the best, or they didn't know how to communicate, it kind of feels like you've got the wisdom of that, so that if you were working with people, or coordinating things with people, or being a manager, being your own boss, being a supervisor, or just running a project, or doing your own thing, and you're working with other people, it just feels here you're going to learn that's not how you treat people. So inevitably you're going to really understand, a bit philosophical, pile number 4, you're going to actually sort of have that understanding of where you're going to say, okay, I went through all those lessons, and now I'm actually starting to understand that this has actually helped me be a better version of myself and become more successful as well. It feels like you're just wanting to just move forward. You're not afraid to take a chance. I think in the past you may not have been ready. It just feels like there's been a bit of a growing up. Not that I'm saying people are immature, but it just feels like there's been a massive learning curve, and for some of those, because it is a general reading, some people might feel like they've had a lot of growth in growing up, and other people might feel like they've just grown a lot from their past lessons. It feels like you got the lesson and you're going, I'm not repeating that lesson again, and it just feels like you've got the wisdom of it and you're just now setting your goals up too. So it just feels like for pile number 4, because you want to be so successful, you just want to make sure if you had 12 eggs of energy, and say one egg might relate to work, one might relate to your friends, one might relate to your family, one might relate to a partner, one might relate to your, say, your friends. It's like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and just think success only and then self-sacrifice everything else, because in the past that's been a tendency to sort of focus on one thing and then not have the balance. This feels like that you can have success and you can have the balance as well. So that might be that someone might have self-sacrificed a relationship because they want to be successful. That's not necessarily the case. That might be a perception, and I think your perception will change, and I think that you can also meet a lovely partnering or a lovely person that you'll actually feel really connected to with this new exciting project, vision, goal that you have as well. Yep. And for some of those too, there might be a little bit of travel coming in. It might be a bit more local travel to where you are. It feels like I just hear that there's a little bit of that sense of wanting to get, having some time out, like having a bit of a holiday time out. So it might be 5 days somewhere. So for those that might expect some sort of like invitation to go somewhere and you're thinking, I can't do it now. I've got this project on, or I'm working on this thing. It's like it feels like the invitation will stay there for a little while for you to sort out your times, but you must create some sort of balance here to maintain and hold the space of the success that you want. Otherwise, it's like you get a little bit successful and then you feel like then you get disappointed and then you go, but I was successful in the past, why can't I be now? So it just feels like you're just wanting to maintain that level of success here as well, but you're not wanting to sort of think that's the only thing in your life too, that success is the most important thing, because there's a lot more to life than just that. And I think that you're starting to sort of realize that as well. It's good to see though that you're getting your passion back, and that you're getting you're getting the ideas to come forward, and you're getting the projects to come forward, and you're looking at wanting to create more. It feels like there's a lot of creating something here for people, and they're going to be seeing the tangible results. Again, it feels like it could be something to do with in the public eye as well, a little bit, being seen, being heard a little bit more, building a profile up, that sort of thing. I think pile number 4, like probably a lot of people that wanted to travel and it felt like everything was put on hold. But it feels like there's going to be other opportunities that, if that's the case, that can come up here that can be fulfilling. There's lots of friends. Again, as it's a general reading, for those that have friends, there's some pregnancies that are coming in around here. And for those who aren't wanting babies, it feels like there's the birth of creativity and ideas and lots of fun. Feels like it's going to be more fun as well if you just create that balance as well. Lots of people coming in. New friends, new female friends, or new friends in general. Yeah. And there's something about suggestions about collaborating and working together. Yeah. For those who are in a relationship, it feels like there's a little bit of like how much you're giving. There could be a child involved in the relationship here. And for those who I'm talking to who have a child and they are in a relationship, it just feels like they're just trying to create some sort of balance maybe between a new relationship and their ex-partner, or that it just feels like the child might start to want more. Or might start to get a little bit more demanding, and they're just trying to sort of create some sort of boundary here. it feels like, and the other part of it is that they have children that are young and wanting to start out. There's a parent here that actually wants to help finance something there that I feel, but it feels like it comes with a little bit of like there's some conditions with it too that the child may not try to negotiate or see here as well. So it just feels like for pile number 4, it's like they've had a couple of goes at doing things, and it feels like they might have been a little bit deflated with something not working out. It feels like a little bit entrepreneurial sometimes with them, and then it feels like they're going to meet the mark and get the goal here too. It feels like there could be a lot of success around this pile number 4, and it feels like they're really happy to share the success with other people with what they work for, and there's a little bit of recognition in here too as well. Yeah, as well. I'll do one more spread. Pile number 4 feels like in the past they've already been victorious or had some sort of success, and then it feels like either they felt like, I don't know if they were burnt out or if they just felt like they've reached a certain stage where they can't go any further with it, and that they're looking for more goals or opportunities, and it feels like they're looking for new directions. That's why I see a new passion for them or a new sense. It feels like because they've already had that success in the past, it feels like they're quietly confident that they'll have that success again, except for that little doubt sometimes that might creep in and go, what if? And then it's quickly removed saying, but I've been successful before, I've got this, I know I've got the skills for it as well. So it feels like, and also the holiday that they wanted, there is something that's going to compensate them for them if they had had a holiday planned and it was cancelled or postponed. It feels like there's something to come in that's going to sort of compensate them for that, not in a financial manner, but it might be a nice invitation to go somewhere, or there might be a better opportunity for something else that will come for them instead of the past trip here as well. It feels like there's something better to come. Yeah. Pile number 4 also do want love, but I think they've put a lot of their focus on their work and being successful. And I am going to say for some of them that I do feel like there's love there if they just surrender it a little bit more and just open their hearts more as well, which I think that they are capable of doing very much as well. He feels like a really nice relationship. I think in the past they've probably dated a lot and sort of played the field a little bit, and it's like now they're sort of like looking at, well, it would be nice to sort of maybe settle and enjoy my life and, you know, with this success, or they're wanting a person that's actually going to sort of inspire them and encourage them and not sort of feel intimidated maybe by the success that they've had or by the success that they have had currently, that they're going to sort of like feel inspired, or that this group number 4 can actually look up to on some level and feel inspired as well by them, and have their partner be inspired too. So it kind of feels like they want something more mutual, but in the past they may have had men that haven't lived up to the expectation, or they've been disappointed, or they might have been a little bit intimidated or not valued what you've done with the work, or not really understood it. And this feels like for pile number 4, it feels like there could be 2 loves to choose from, something along that line, or 2 love interests as well that comes in. And one feels like they're very connected to their feelings, very watery in star sign, and the other person feels like they're very logical. Not that they don't have compassion, they're probably a little bit more direct. I think that it feels like one's a water sign and one may be an air sign. So one would be very articulate. I think the water sign person feels like they have a lovely connection for you. They like the water. They like nature. They like good food. The King of Swords type person, the air sign person, feels a little bit more like their work is really practical, logical. They think with their head a little more. They feel like they're just a little bit more concerned with sort of like they do want that success. They are successful, but they also like to sort of, they're a little bit more prestigious in what they do. But it also feels like on the same token that they've probably earned it and they've worked really hard for it. I think the water sign man here with the choice feels like the King of Swords feels like success is important. So they're sort of on the same page with you there, because success is obviously important to you, because I feel like there's already been success and you're going to be successful again in a new venture. And I feel like maybe the water sign man is that he gets you and you haven't felt like on some level that you haven't been understood as much. And you're thinking, wow, you know, how does he know this about me? You know, how did he gets me? Whereas I feel like you're probably more accustomed to someone that, like with the King of Swords type person who uses their intellect, that's got a lot of security, that sort of thing. In the King of Cups, yeah, I feel like he's worldly. I think that he's travelled. He's just more in his heart space. So there's no wrong or right way. It's just, you know, imagine the one that you feel like when you're in your 70s, you're walking down the street arm in arm with, and that's the one you have, that you feel like is the right person here as well. All the best, group number 4. Good luck with all the success and the guys. I'm sure you'll pick the right one. Thank you so much and take care. Bye-bye.